The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Here we go, Talkin' Buds Leaf Show. In all the years that we've been doing this pod, I think this is the first time in the regular season. We've definitely done it during playoffs, but I think this is the first time in the regular season that we've done a Saturday night post-game show.
Yeah. Yep. And then, usually Saturdays are for sending beers, and usually we're just texting, complaining about how they're playing, but we decided to hop on here and do a Saturday night post-game show because we're just that committed.
Well,
we're that committed, and we just need to get everything off our chest about this hockey team.
Schedules kind of dictated it, and you and I don't love doing post-game shows. Like, it's one thing to do it in the playoffs because
we got to warm up for the playoffs.
Yeah, we do got to warm up for the playoffs, but it's not something we love to do, but we're here and we're doing it. Let's talk about the game we just watched, and then we'll move in and we'll talk a little trade deadline and the week that was with the 2 losses to the Bruins and the OT win over the Sabres. I feel like this team has a few days off now. They don't play again until Thursday in Philadelphia. I think they need this time off. They did not look crisp at all tonight. I don't know. There's been reports of a flu bug going through the team. I don't know what was going on with Matthews and Nylander and Bertuzzi, the top line, but Matthews and Nylander specifically, and what was going on with them all week, to be honest. But it just wasn't a crisp evening for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, there was just a lot of odd passes tonight, especially from the top 2 lines. I thought the top 2 lines were making strange decisions with the puck on their sticks. And it was just one of those nights where they were, again, playing a divisional opponent. You knew they weren't going to go in and have a great night. They haven't won there in a long time. I was kind of bracing myself for that type of performance tonight, even though they still came out with the W. But overall, like, I wasn't watching that game being like, wow, they're really earning this one. It's like they're just playing a very shitty hockey team who always does play them well. But at the end of the day, if they were playing the Bruins again and threw in that effort, and we saw the effort they put in against the Bruins, and if they put that effort in against a good team like they did tonight, they're going to suck, but they got the dub because they're playing a shit hockey team.
This might be sacrilegious to say, like for a Leaf fan to say on a Leaf podcast, but that's the first time. It's always good. We need more Bell Center. The Bell Center is one of the best venues to watch a hockey game in the league, in my opinion. And there's just nothing better than the Bell Center Leafs Habs on a Saturday night. And that gave a game that I thought, that the Habs are where they are, and the Leafs just did not look very with it tonight. But just the environment of it being hockey night in Canada, Bell Center made a huge difference. I thought, so Mitch Marner doesn't play in this game because he's day-to-day with what we think is, the Leafs didn't confirm this, but like, I'm pretty sure he rolled his ankle on Thursday.
Yeah, at first it looked like he was maybe selling something because he just literally did not shoot a puck into a wide open net.
Yes.
Which was one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a hockey game.
So he doesn't play in this game. So Keefe kind of deploys a new look sort of lineup, with the top line being Matthews, Nylander, Bertuzzi, the second line being Tavares, Domi, Yarncroc, the third line being Kampf, Nyes, McMahon, the fourth line being Pontus, Ryan Reeves, and one of the 2 trade deadline, I guess 3 if you want to include Lyubushkin, one of the 3 trade deadline acquisitions, Connor Dewar. And
Connor Dewar.
Connor Dewar. What a handle. Incredible handle.
Oh man.
See, this is why we don't like doing post-game shows. Just we're like the Leafs. We're a bit delirious.
Yeah.
Lines 3 and 4 provided the bulk of the offense tonight. I don't know where the fuck Austin Matthews and William Nylander's heads were. They were not in Montreal, I can tell you that. And we'll talk more about that later when we discuss the 2 losses this week to the Bruins. But the first line, Bertuzzi can't play with those 2 guys. He just can't. And the first line was brutal. The second line ended up, Max gets a goal. John Tavares gets a goal. Second line ends up pitching in later on in the game. What are you laughing at?
Talking about Connor Dewar. I'm sorry. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
The second line ends up like coming around and contributing later on in the game. But the third line, we sat down to watch this game, and I'm like, I said to you out loud, I was like, what the hell are Nyes and McMahon supposed to do with David Kampf? That was their best line in this game. That was their most consistent line in this game. And then the fourth line was pretty good too.
And you could argue that the decision that Keefe made at the start of the second period, when he recognized that that was their best line through the entire first period, starting them in the second period, and it immediately pays off, and it kind of turns the game around, because that first period wasn't very exciting. So, I mean, what if you looked at the bottom 2 lines and why they had so much offensive pressure tonight, it's because they played a simple style of hard-working hockey that's conducive to keeping the puck in the O-zone. Like, they got the puck deep. They were working hard. They were forechecking. They were just putting in the effort. Where the top 2 lines tonight were just skating around trying to make. I don't even know what they were doing. It seemed like they just couldn't make a pass. How many times was a guy at the blue line and he just whiffed a pass, or just passing to the wrong team? Like, it was just a really strange effort from the top 2 lines. They were just not on their game tonight. But when you watch Nyes and McMahon play together, that was a discovery coming out of this game. These are 2 guys who have some size, who just used it to their advantage tonight and worked hard, and it paid off for them.
Ilya Samsonov, big saves late in the game to help the Leafs seal the W. I mean, we saw Joe Woll twice this week against the Bruins, and granted, he didn't get a ton of support in those games, but the playoffs start tomorrow. Ilya Samsonov is your game 1 starter, not Joe Woll.
He's been doing a fabulous job at making clutch saves, the right saves at the right time his past couple starts. Like, yeah, he gave up 2 kind of clean. Like, the one goal was pretty clean. Like, whatever. Like, you're going to get beat. Even against Buffalo, he got beat clean. But late in the game, when usually they give up kind of the back-breaking goal, he has not been doing that. And he's been sensational in the last 5-10 minutes of each of his last couple hockey games. It's big for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Joe Woll, like, I don't know what. He did not look great in either of those Bruins games, and I don't want his confidence to get ruined. But you're right. If the playoffs start tomorrow, it is Ilya Samsonov.
Let's talk about the trade deadline. Came and went. The Leafs sort of added to the fringe of their team, bringing in Joel Edmondson, Ilya Lyubushkin, and Connor Dewar. As is usually the case with all things Toronto Maple Leafs, the fan base is divided on this. There's a lot of people who are just so upset that they didn't go and add a more impact piece, whether that be a Chris Tanev, whether that be a Tyler Toffoli, whether that be someone. And I think this said a lot about what Brad Treliving and Leaf management, where their head is at. At the end of the day, my question to the people who are banging their fists on the table going, who are they going to bring in, who are they going to bring in, who are they going to bring in? There isn't one guy that was available or was traded yesterday that would have, At the end of the day, this team is going to live and die with its superstar core players, and there was no one available that was going to put that over the top or change that fact, is what I'm having a really hard time trying to say.
No, and it's what we've been talking about all year, about this year just kind of being a different type of year, and we've seen it in the past. Even when they gone out and made moves that we thought they had to make to do something, it didn't work. So I'd be looking at past history and being like, unless there's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here, which doesn't happen at the trade deadline ever. What's the point? What's the point of moving on from an asset to go get a guy who, like, it's just not gonna do anything?
And Kyle Dubas literally did.
I know, he did it every year.
Yeah,
I know, and it didn't work.
No, yeah, like he brought in like big name guys. And it didn't make a difference because at the end of the day, this team is going to live and die with its star players.
Yeah, look around the room. This is who we have to win with.
Brad Treliving was on overdrive after the deadline yesterday and said exactly that. He was like, it's going to have to come from inside that room.
Yeah, and I'm happy he's taking that mentality because it's time to see what these guys are made of. And it just wasn't going to make a difference. It just wasn't.
And if you look at the three guys he picked up, like, you go and get Lyubushkin, who we sat here last week and we talked about, they need a guy to play with Morgan Rielly. So Lyubushkin was kind of plug and play. We said this last week. He comes in, he's been here before, he's played with Rielly before, he can plug him in, it makes sense. They go and get Joel Edmondson, guy's 6'5", 220. A big body back there, something this team did not have prior to Friday. And then you get Connor Dewar, who is a fourth line penalty kill defensive type center. Their PK is awful. And it's so all three of those ads make sense.
Yeah.
And should help sort of like you're trying to fill in it's patchwork, yes, but it's all you can do given the circumstances right now. So it does bother me. Like, I hate this take that I see people go on and on about, well, every year that you have Austin Matthews and this, you need to be going all in. It's like, they're not, guys, they're not good enough this year.
No, they're not.
They're not good enough this year.
And dude, this last week proved
Yes. And it's like, I'm not.
We were staring at our first round matchup and they just completely wiped the floor with them twice.
Yes. And it's like, I'm saying they're not good enough this year is not negative. It's realistic glasses.
Facts. We just saw it.
It's realistic. That's what it is. Like, they're not good enough this year. It's not going to happen. The only way it's going to happen is if they get into the playoffs, they get out of this world goaltending and some bounces go their way and their star players actually take over and dominate, which based on the two Bruins games we watched this week, I'm going to be honest and say I'm not feeling very good about the state of this team and its core players. No, I know there is a flu bug going through the team. I understand that. However, I'm sure someone will hear or see my reaction and say, man, you're being so dramatic. Let it play out. Let it play out. But I'll admit those two Bruins games ignited a bit of PTSD that exists inside me because I have watched these star players in these big playoff games time and time again fucking disappear and shy away from playing the type of style, playing the way you need to play in order to have success in the playoffs. Let's just call a spade here, okay? These guys don't want to play that way. It's not about, oh, well, they don't know. Oh, it's a learning lesson. Oh, well, maybe something will happen. It's like, no. This is 7 years of this now. They've been in the playoffs every year of those 7. They've played different opponents every year who have all beaten them the same way. Outworking, out-hustling, getting to the dirty areas, taking away the middle of the ice and forcing them to the perimeter. And the only way...
Scoring clutch goals.
The only way to combat that is to get to the dirty areas and get your hands dirty and get greasy. And what I saw in the two Bruins games this week is the same old. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner do not want to play hockey that way. And if a team is going to do what Boston did to them twice this week, they're more than content to just skate around on the periphery and make bizarre decisions and low percentage scoring chances. William Nylander tries a toe drag at the blue line in Boston the other night. Puck goes the other way, ends up in their net. Hone in on that play in particular. And this has been a very pro-Willie podcast this year. But you hone in on that play in particular. That's them. The mindset is not, you can't be doing that in these big games against good teams like this. But that's all they know how and want to do. They want to go out and be pretty and skate around and toe drag between the legs, behind the back. And it's just like your head is not in the right place. You're not grasping. You're not willing to do what needs to be done. And for all of you that are sitting, listening to me go on this rant and are going, well, that's just not their game. That's not their game. Why can David Pastrnak do it? Yeah. Why?
Even like, I know Marchand's not having a great offensive year, but again, he's a top guy who's making a difference out there.
Go back to previous years. Why can Steven Stamkos do it?
Yeah.
Why can Nikita Kucherov do it? Put on the Oilers. Why can Connor McDavid do it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because these guys want to do it. They're driven to do it. They accept that's what needs to be done. And for whatever reason, this core group of Leaf players, and trust me, I pray that we get into the playoffs and I'm wrong and they play the way they need to play. I will sit here with the biggest bowl of crow you've ever seen and I will eat it on this podcast gladly.
Yeah, happily.
But these guys, they're not interested. The Austin Matthews is, in the last 7 days, they have played 3 playoff caliber opponents in playoff style games. The Bruins twice and the New York Rangers. Austin Matthews was nowhere to be found in all 3 of those games. You know why? Because these are teams that are contenders in the East that play the right way defensively and force the Leafs to the perimeter. And Matthews and Marner, when they get in a game like that, just skate around the fucking perimeter.
Yeah, they do. And he wasn't great at the Buffalo game either.
No, the Bruins are running around on Thursday night. Who shows pushback? Tyler Bertuzzi, a guy that Brad Treliving signed in the offseason. Max Domi, a guy that Brad Treliving signed in the offseason. We went on this rant earlier this season. It was one of our most engaged with clips on TikTok where we're sitting there going, what are you so afraid of?
Yeah.
It's so bizarre to me. Just the unwillingness to just go there and accept, like, I'm a professional hockey league playing in the NHL, and to win a Stanley Cup, it's blood, sweat, and tears and the ultimate sacrifice. And you got to put your body through 2 months of just war in order to hoist that fucking trophy over your head. And these guys are just like, nah.
Yeah.
Don't really want to.
Yeah, I'm just watching Austin Matthews, and I'm like, would it kill you to finish a body check?
Oh my God! Would
it kill you just to, like? I understand you were an amazing stick lifter, and you create amazing turnovers by lifting sticks, but dude, can you please just finish a check? Please put your body weight into another guy's shoulder up against the boards after he makes a pass on a forecheck. Please.
And guess what? If the season ends in the first round against the Bruins, no one's going to give a shit that you got 60 goals. No one. They're going to sit and go, you lost in the first round and we're a no-show again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think your take about the winning streak, because we've kind of had a little different, all year it's kind of been inconsistent, but then they went on the streak and then we started to get positive. And I think your take on the streak about, I want you to say it because you're going to articulate it better than me.
It sounds like we're being super negative here, but like my take on, and it's not negative. It's like, look, we're having a realistic conversation. If you can't handle the realistic conversation, close the video, go back to your fucking dream world. They went on the winning streak kind of after the All-Star break, while a lot of these other teams were still sort of getting their life back together.
Yeah.
And that's not to take away. That's not to say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It did matter. They won 7 in a row, and they're well into a playoff spot because of it. They deserve credit for that. And they played really well in those 7 games. But you've just seen them in playoff style games against playoff caliber opponents in this last week, and it hasn't been good.
But I think that winning streak was just kind of like it was a microcosm of everything this team has been about. Like they go on a nice streak, we start to get excited, and then I watch them, and their record against Western Conference teams this year is quite something. It actually kind of makes no sense, but I get you start to come up with ways in your head to think how it could be spun positively, guys playing better, different lines. Guys were more engaged. Morgan Riley cross-checked a guy in the face, showing some pushback. Maybe it's a turnaround. And then this week, they go out, they get destroyed twice against the team that just kills them every time. And it broke my spirit a little bit because it's starting to get a little old. Like I'm starting to get a little sick. Like I didn't even want to watch the third period of that hockey game. The second game against the Bruins. It was like, I'm so sick and tired of watching them get mobbed by this team for the same reasons over and over and over again. It's the same story every time. And and I know they're still a half-decent hockey team. We're not talking about the Ottawa Senators here, but I'm just so tired of watching them get mobbed by these teams for the same reasons over and over again. It crushes my spirit. And that's the team we're looking at in the first round. Like, oh my God, we're like, come on.
For me, it's kind of like just like to reiterate, like for me, I don't care that they lost to the Bruins. I don't. The Bruins are a great team. I don't care that they lost.
But they lose because they just do the same shit
exactly.
every time.
What bothers me is it like William Nylander makes a stupid toe drag at the blue line to show you that his head's not in the right place to do the things he needs to do in order to win. Austin Matthews. Has anyone seen Austin Matthews in these? Like, he got the OT goal against the Sabres. That's great. But like tonight against the Habs even, where the fuck was he? Floating around. And it's just, that is what's so discouraging. How many times in a game 7 have we watched this team go out there and their star players are just totally ineffective? Too many fucking times. Yeah. Too many. And I see a lot of people who are like, well, you know, the problem in the past is they haven't had a lot of depth scoring, which is true, but I don't know. I watched a Habs game tonight where lines 3 and 4 were effective.
Yeah.
And the top line was easily their worst line tonight.
And you can't deny that their top players have not come through for them in the biggest moments when they needed them.
And so to bring it full circle, like I think the organization is in a place now where it's like, we've paid you guys. It's all on you.
Yeah.
We're going into this first round series against the Bruins, or God fucking forbid, the Florida Panthers. And you guys are going to have to do it. And if you don't, then they're going to have to finally do what Brendan Shanahan has been completely unwilling to do, and that's take apart this core.
Yes. And I think I think that's where this road leads. And it has been, like, isn't that the most obvious thing? Like, that's why this year, Treliving coming in and not firing Keefe and just like having a total refresh, it made no sense to me. Because here we are again at this point of the season facing the same problems we've been facing every single season. Like, I don't know. It makes no sense to me. But I'm happy they're finally taking that mentality and I'm happy Treliving came out and kind of just handed that it's time for these guys to be big boys and get it done. Yeah. Or else, like, this is ridiculous. And you're not young anymore. You're all entering your primes. Like, we've had enough learning lessons here. Like, come on.
Well,
like,
that's the thing, right?
Finish a body check. Like, show up against a team that you know is gonna bring it.
Don't do a fucking toe drag at the blue line, man.
They don't play like you were watching the McMahon line tonight against the Habs, and they were just playing a certain style that works and is simple in a tight checking hockey game. Just working hard, forward checking, being physical, getting pucks to the net. William Nylander is an amazing skater with the puck. He's the best skater with the puck on their whole team and one of the best in the league. But How many times a night was he just circling and circling and circling around the ozone with the puck, and then eventually he just ends up in a giveaway, and that's what got him in shit against the Bruins because he was doing the exact same thing, and he just tried to make one too many moves, and it was in the back of the net. 10 seconds later, it's ridiculous.
And on that note, like during the 7-game win streak, the power play is clicking at an incredible level, and now the power play has gone in the fucking tank again. Yeah, and it's
the power play is the weirdest thing. It's the most frustrating. It makes no sense. They're always at the top of the league, but man, when their power play isn't going, it's like they're not even skating.
Their power play is second in the NHL,
which is incredible. And every year they're in the top 5, top 2 even the past couple seasons. But it's just like when their power play's bad, it's really bad, and it's always bad in the playoffs. So that's why they could be second. It's like Austin Matthews scoring 60 goals. It's the same thing with their power play. They could be first in the league at the end of the season, but until they can actually take advantage of an opportunity in the playoffs to get that big goal through a power play, then it's just, I don't care. I don't care that it says they're second in the league. That means nothing to me.
Yeah. The odd man rushes on the power play
because they stop skating. Like I know you're supposed to take your time, set your play, but they got to get in the zone perfectly, and they stop moving their feet, and then all of a sudden there's a 2-on-1 shorthanded. It's like, what are we doing here?
I despise the give the puck to Nylander because he's the only guy who can skate it across the opposing team's blue line and get into the ozone. Anyone else on that power play has the puck. They do that. They get up to the blue line, and then they do the weird kind of lateral flick pass.
Yeah, they do the backhand
that
mini
works
sauce
50% of the time. Yeah.
It's and if they do have to dump it in, they don't work hard enough to get it back.
Yes.
And it's out of the zone. It's when it's going bad for that power play, it is not fun to watch.
But it's second in the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't that this whole team? That's what they are. They have great numbers, but we all know at the end of the day, when it's time to come down and play your best, it never happens. They don't click.
I just want to reiterate one more time that when I talk about the star players, like if you want to know the point I'm trying to make, just watch David Pastrnak. Yeah. Just watch him every shift. Austin Matthews does not play like that in those games. Neither does Nylander, neither does Marner, and Tavares, forget it. Like, forget it. Tavares ended up getting a goal tonight, and I thought his line came on as the game went on. Like, they kind of struggled to start, but that line came on a bit. But Tavares there needs to be a conversation at the end of this season about John Tavares, because that's a lot of money to be paying him to look the way he's looked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Sometimes it's not great. Another guy he's not scoring. He's not being physical. He's not skating well. It can look ugly when he's not producing offensively.
I feel like I need to do my usual disclaimer that I do when we have episodes like this, because as I've said before on this podcast numerous times, when we talk, I guess, negatively like this, I do get self-conscious about it. And I'm like, we're sitting here, you'd think listening to us talk that it's like doom and gloom, the sky is falling.
But it kind of is, though.
Well, no, it's just be realistic. The goal for this team should be to be competing for cups, and to compete for a cup, you have to play a certain way that the star players are unwilling to play, and that really takes the fucking wind out of my sails.
I watched them play a team that they're going to have to play at least 4 times in April, and they just got dominated twice. That crushes my spirit because I'm sick of watching it. Every single time they go to that arena, or even when they come here, they cannot do what's necessary. They just cannot beat that hockey team, and that's who I'm staring at in the first round. Like, it's just, I don't feel great about it. I don't feel good about it at all. That's why I'm pissed off, because I know Leaf fans get clowned on, and you kind of just take it for what it is, because they have been chokers. They haven't done anything. They haven't won, but it is really exhausting watching them lose the exact same way to that hockey team again and again and again and again. They're 0-4 against them this year.
They've lost the last 7 straight meetings to the Bruins.
Yeah, like it's just
That fucking building, man. Oh
I know,
my
I
God.
know. It's a
That
nightmare.
barn just haunts my dreams.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
it's just that's why I'm kind of broken. They played well during that win streak. They won that big game in Colorado. That was great. And
they dominated the Vegas Golden Knights.
Clearly, they've figured something out against Western Conference teams, and they've played extremely well against them and have an amazing record. But every single time they play the teams that they need to play in their own division and teams that they're going to play in the playoffs, they just look like the same old, and I get really pissed off watching it.
Well, as I said to start the episode, they've got a break coming up here that I think they need. I think everyone needs. I hope Keefe gives them a couple of days off and they can get away from a little bit and get this flu bug cleared up. Defensemen. Last thing I want to touch on before we get out of here today. There was outrage ahead of the game that Keefe chose to scratch Simone Benoit in favor of Timothy Liljegren. Timothy Liljegren is just the most confounding player to me because Riley goes out with the suspension. Liljegren steps up and plays really well, and you're like, wow, this is the high end of Timothy Liljegren. This is him. Like, could you imagine if this guy played like a top 4 defenseman? What a difference that would make. And since Morgan Riley came back, Timothy Liljegren has been a problem. A massive problem. And there's all kinds of talk about because remember, Keefe scratched him in the playoffs last year. And it's trending like that will happen again. I think Sheldon Keefe struggles with Timothy Liljegren. If you look at Timothy Liljegren has been with Sheldon Keefe for years.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, same like he and Nylander kind of have this thing where they go way back with Keefe. But if you look, like if you're starting tomorrow, let's say game 1's tomorrow, who are your 6 defensemen that you're dressing in that game?
I really appreciate what they're trying to do with bringing in a 6'5" defenseman who's large, who we've seen, who's won a lot of playoff series, who's won a Stanley Cup, who was on that Habs team that came back and beat the Leafs. But I need to see that guy handle a couple more pucks before I'm before he's like penciled in. I'm not one of these guys who's because Liljegren's kind of turned into the new polarizing player on the Leafs.
Well, here's what I'll say about Joel Edmondson. 2 things in defense of Joel Edmondson.
And I'm not saying anything bad about him, but I'm not pretending like this guy is just a shoe-in, like he's one of our guys now.
So, number 1, first game with the team. Number 2, they showed the stat on the broadcast last night or earlier tonight. He has 3 times as many playoff games that he's played in compared to everyone else on this team.
I'm not complaining about that, but it was his first game. I haven't seen enough of him. We've seen players who've been good on other teams come to this team and absolutely suck. So I'm just going to I don't know. Timothy Liljegren he's kind of funny. He's turned into that player that we always need in this city, that some people just love him, defend him. All of a sudden he's just got a ton of lovers, ton of people who back him now, but he's just not very good. He makes bad mistakes. We've seen the high end, but I've also seen the low end, and usually he's on the low end.
Cannot box out in front of his own net to save his fucking
Simone
life.
Benoit's had a very good year, and he's kind of been, I don't want to say fan favorite, but he's, because of his story, people have kind of been drawn to him, and he kind of plays the right way. He plays hard. He's physical, and that's who most Leaf fans want to see in the lineup because he plays like that. Liljegren just looks heartless sometimes. I don't know. But right now, ideally, in most Leaf fans' minds, it would be Liljegren not playing.
Yeah.
But we never know. But Joel Edmondson almost broke his face tonight against the glass. Like, anything could happen at any point. Someone can get hurt. That's why you go out and add defensive depth.
Well, and they've got to look at, like, Mark Giordano's also still... he's on IR, but theoretically he'll be back for the playoffs. So you got to kind of look at like who are you dressing, and if you're going into Boston, Joel Edmondson's in the lineup.
You need as much
6'5",
size.
220. You're in the lineup. Out you go, and then you've got Riley Brody for sure playing, Jake McCabe for sure playing, and then who Who does Keefe go?
The Boosh is in the lineup.
for sure playing. So
Yeah.
there's basically one spot that's available between Benoit, Liljegren, and Giordano.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. There might be a rotation in and out. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's still some time. Just like the goaltending situation, there's still some time to figure that out as well. So
you got your wish tonight that I don't know if this is the way they'll have the lineup set going forward with Marner healthy, but you got your wish tonight with Max Domi being moved to the wing.
I guess that's the only upside with my buddy Connor Dewar coming into the lineup is just adding another center option. Yeah, Max Domi cannot play center. I want to see him on the wing. Yeah. That's where I want him. So
before we go, he struggled tonight. He shouldn't be playing with Matthews and Nylander. But you got to give him his due. Filling in Wotherspoon the other night in Boston.
A couple uppercuts.
Yeah.
That looked good.
You got to give him his due.
Well, he got cross-checked in the face, so I feel like he was just pissed off after that. And then he started barking at all his old teammates, which he wasn't there for that long, so I don't think he's like boys with any of them, really. But yeah, it was... When you watch him on the top line, it's just sometimes like he's a player who he's like Tavares kind of. He can just make plays down low. He has the ability to finish down low. But Tyler Bertuzzi is the complete opposite of William Nylander. William Nylander can carry a puck through open ice like nobody else. That guy cannot do that. And he also fumbled a bunch of passes tonight that were thrown his way. And when you're playing with top guys, even though they weren't playing that well, they will feed you a nice pass and an opportunity to finish. And sometimes he's just a little off the mark when it comes to that.
Leafs have 2 games coming up this week, 2 playoff teams in Philly on Thursday and then at home to Carolina on Saturday. I went on an epic rant about the way the star players have looked against playoff teams. And so we got to... I mean, like their schedule down the stretch here is tough.
Yeah.
Like there's no two ways about it.
Carolina, they played them twice.
Carolina, Philly twice, the Capitals, the Capitals twice, the Oilers, the Devils.
They kind of
like there's, like it's not
Florida 2 more times.
Yep, Tampa. It's tough. It's tough.
You know how this team will make me feel better? Going out and beating. And looking great against a team that they might play in the first round. I don't even need them to go out and win. Yeah, I know.
I don't.
They just need to be just engaged.
Yeah, like if they had lost to the Bruins this past week and it was just, Swayman stood on his head and they just had all kinds of chances, just didn't go in for them, then I would be like, you know what? It's fine. We'll get them next time. I just want to see, like, Austin Matthews. First on the puck in the corner, dude. Like don't... Like, move your feet in there. You're a big guy. You're not going to get hurt. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Willie, no toe drags in TD Garden. Not allowed.
No. Yeah, especially when you're the last man back.
Yes.
Do not do that.
You know what? It's been... We had a good run there of crying. And then I would say the last 2 to 3 episodes have been like super positive. So we needed a good cry fest, and we got it out tonight.
Yeah, it was just really challenging for me to watch them just lose. Like you go to that arena and you just you're getting outworked, you're getting out hit. It seems like there's nothing you can do to just beat that hockey team, and it's really, really getting old for me. Yeah. I'm sick of it. Sick of watching it.
Well, you get a few days off now, and then we'll watch them against Philly on Thursday. We'll be back to our usual Sunday time slot next week, although I guess by the time this video is posted, it will be very early Sunday morning, so we're technically still on track. So if you wanna check out next week's episode, hit that like and subscribe button below.
Spread the word. Tell your friends.
Also follow us on our socials. Leave a comment. Leave a review. Every little bit helps. We're in this together, guys. Tough one today for us, but we're not going anywhere. We bleed blue and white just like you. We'll see you next time.